Hi, and welcome to Marketing Optimization with Alex Designs. I'm your host, Alex Harris, and today we have Dennis Heijden from Convert.com. Convert.com by Convert Insights is an A/B testing and multivariate testing software for agencies and experts. How you doing, Dennis?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome. So to get started, I like to ask, what is optimization and why is it beneficial?
Well, optimization, the way we see it, is basically growing and optimizing your revenue per visitor. One of the most important things that we focus on, and I think every business online should focus on, is getting more money from your existing visitors. So that's our main aim. We try to facilitate with software to allow you to do that, and it is really interesting what people do with those new revenues that they just got. Most of our clients, as soon as they get the additional conversion rates, which is I think why you should focus on it, instead of, like, for example, the AdWords. The reason why people do it is because basically they allow more budget actually for customer acquisition. So most of our clients do it to drop the to drop the customer acquisition price. So the cost of each client acquiring or optimizing their AdWords. Most of our clients reinvest that instantly because with a better conversion rate, they allow to basically outprice anybody in AdWords. And some of our clients just put it in the pocket, of course. And that's a margin increase.
Yeah, definitely a margin increase. Increase that bottom line as quick as you can. So how did you get started with Convert.com?
Well, I was, like many of you probably in the audience, I was a lead gen guy before all this. I focused mainly on generating leads for software companies. So I was living in the Netherlands at that time, and there I had a company which were serving around 500 clients like Microsoft, SAP, finding their business-to-business leads for software. And I was running around 200-300 websites, and 2008, something interesting happened in the world. Basically, the world got a little shook up with the crisis at that time. Traffic dropped significantly, leads dropped significantly, and we were like, I have no idea what to do. Right. And the only thing that we actually could do is like come up with ideas to make more money on the existing clients. We just didn't have any money anymore for AdWords because at that time everybody jumped to AdWords because everybody's like a panic reaction all over the world, as in we have no leads, we have salespeople waiting, there's no software being bought, all budgets are frozen, what do we do? So everybody's pouring money in AdWords, and these bidding prices just went crazy in 2008. It was like August, September, and we and my team basically came up with something as simple as a WordPress plugin that read the keywords from the user and basically redirected them to different banners, different sites that we had, and so the site basically modified itself based on what we thought somebody was looking for, and without actually realizing it, we were building sort of like our Omniture, Adobe Test and Target kind of platform into WordPress, and that actually got a lift of 100% in only 3-4 months. And we saved the business in a way, basically, because we got 5% more revenue that year than the year before, while everything else was crashing around us. Mm-hmm. And we actually thought with an employee that actually built that system, we can take this out. We can take this and bring it to the masses. Like, if we could do this, this must be what other people want. And this was 2009, so don't forget there were no cheap A/B testing tools in 2009. There was nothing else but paying $4,000 a month for A/B testing at that time. And so that's where we started with an optimization and A/B testing platform. It was called Reach at that time. And in 2012, we acquired Convert.com and we made a branding switch. We cut the personalization and behavioral targeting parts, and we focused on A/B testing only. So, and we're still here with even some of the employees of my previous company now as founders.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. So tell us a little bit about Convert.com. What does it do, and why would someone want to use your testing software?
Okay, so Convert.com is, as you said, an A/B testing and multivariate testing software solution. So we allow mostly agencies and e-commerce sites. That's what's mainly our client base. We allow them to do A/B testing on any page on any platform. So it's a very general infrastructure independent tool. And the way we focus is basically have a non-intrusive platform. We connect to a lot of existing tools, so we allow you to import things, and with very little tagging, you can actually modify pages at distance without contacting the client and serving a different variation to part of the audience and measure what that different variation actually has as an impact. Mm-hmm. And so it's an A/B testing software platform with what you see is what you get editor to allow you to build tests fairly easy.
Very cool. And do you guys have a framework to help clients use your software to get started with the best practices of doing conversion rate optimization so they can reach the best results?
Well, this is always a bit of a pain. So no, we don't have one particular framework. We tend to be like in infrastructure agnostic as well as these frameworks, because we have people that really focus on saying, oh, we only want the test to run for 97% significance and a minimum time of this. So every agency, since we work with every agency, most of these agencies have their framework, and our tool needs to basically connect to whatever they think is the way of doing things.
Right.
So we allow a lot of different ways of measuring, a lot of different ways of tracking, and well, we have, of course, our internal framework, what we use. I think we're very, very fan of a company called Wider Funnel. They have a very strict methodology we like, very clear. It's their lift methodology. Heijden and Brian Massey is an inspiration for us. So those, or Chris Goward and Brian Massey, are people that we follow ourselves as well. And they have very easy to explain models and methodologies. And of course, our testing software has to offer those supporting those methodologies. But if other people have a different methodology, we'd like to offer that as well.
I think it's a great perspective. House of Kaizen, Wider Funnel, they all have great ways that they implement conversion rate optimization. And really, why create your own if you can use someone else's that has been proven to work? So let's take a look at some of the case studies that you have for Convert.com.
Yeah, I wanted to focus mainly on the general idea where I think you can do 3 things before you actually start optimizing, because I'm always a bit skeptical, and I hear it all day long about people saying, well, I thought a conversion optimization was as simple as changing that color of the button, and you present the cases so simple, so why I don't get it. What you need to know and before you start optimizing, don't get too overexcited. I mean, us and any competitor will tell you that it's possible to get 5,000 conversion lift in just one test, and that's of course awesome, but there are rare cases. Of course, we present those as cases, but you must be honest. 1 out of 3 tests are successful, and that only is if you are an expert. I mean, the House of Kaizen, Wider Funnel, those guys that do this all day long with 20 people optimizing sites get 1 out of 3 right. Okay, so I don't want to be dishonest by saying this is the solution. You need to test a lot. For the rest of us, including us, I mean, we are not the gurus like Brian Massey and the rest of them. We can get 1 out of 5, and a majority of our clients get 1 out of 7. So 1 out of 7 tests is a lift. Okay, so that must be very clear. Your first test, if it's a winner, you're lucky. You need to test. And how do you improve the odds of this luck, right? You can improve the odds of actually getting this right. So the difference between a Wider Funnel, Brian Massey, conversion scientist, conversion rate optimizers, House of Kaizen, and a guy like me, and maybe a guy like you here in the audience, what are the differences? Well, they know exactly what the problem is. So before I show you any case, I want you to go and install heat mapping software. Understand your analytics. Because I talk to people that just say, oh yeah, I removed the rotating band every chrome because Tim S said so. Okay, that's awesome, but you had no bounce problem on the homepage, so why are we even thinking here? What is the problem here that we're trying to tackle? So you need to understand what the problems of, and customer surveys, user testing, everything comes before testing. So if you were planning on buying our testing tool today, don't. Go for crazy click heat map, stuff like that. Do usertesting.com. Get everybody else's tool first, and make sure you know what you're talking about. As soon as you know what exactly the problem is, then you can build sort of a hypothesis. So, and the hypothesis to what I wanted to show you is we had a client called Buy a Kilt, which is a kilt, and they usually were sold for weddings. And they had this epiphany of saying, okay, we need obviously an SSL certificate, like a trust factor. And they were not like the rest of us that think I pasted in the header all over the site, because that's obviously not going to help, because there is no problem in trust on your homepage because I haven't even found your product yet. So why stuff the home page and the category page and the product page full of banners of trust when there is no trust issue? So they did it where the trust issue occurs. They figured out that the trust issue occurs in the shopping cart and the checkout. So what you'll see is that they were testing two sets of banners. First is they had no banner on the checkout, and I hope you'll see this on your screen in a minute after the interview. We'll add this. This is a checkout with no banner. And what they did is they added a Norton badge, which is one of the more famous brands. Their McAfee brand that they bought was a little bit more recognizable, but Norton is not bad. And on top of that, we had another badge, which was basically the Commodore badge. So what they did is they actually had to build this in reverse for people to know how you can do this kind of testing. Is they actually added the badges and then removed them with Convert. So they tested in Revert because it was easier to install it like that than anything else. They changed then the baseline, and what they found out as in the Verify versus the VeriSign Norton badge. They tested 3 badges. Sorry, it was VeriSign, Norton, and Commodore in the end. So basically, VeriSign versus no badge on the checkout page, 17% more sales at 99% confidence, running for 5 weeks. So they got more sales, and I think they solved the trust issue. And again, trust issue only on the checkout. There was no trust issue. I never see trust issues on the product page because that's more or less a branding issue, and there's other issues than the SSL certificate. So there's other ways that you can tackle that. So, but they didn't stop there. They explained, well, would there be a difference between a Norton badge and a VeriSign badge? So basically, they found out that the Norton badge did a lift as well, and they continued with a Commodore badge. And in total, they got another 12% lift by using a Commodore badge over a VeriSign badge. So in total, they got around 30% lift. And this took them around 9 weeks. These badges at that time, I'm not sure if it's still available. You can buy by month, so there were like test badges available, and so the cost was very limited, and they were able to improve from their checkout to the actual buy page a 30% lift. So the checkout to the actual thank you page. Now that's actually converted into a 30% lift in sales. So this is not some awesome conversion from the page to a checkout, though this is actually money. So this got them hundreds of thousands of dollars of additional money. And that's a test that run in total of 9 weeks with in total 3 badges, investment around $60, $70, and that's it. I think that's an interesting case.
That's a really great example of building credibility, having the social seals on there, and then proving it to figure out if you should pay that extra for those memberships of the security seals in general. And I'm guessing that the value of VeriSign versus Komodo is just a trust or credibility issue because they're more of a well-known brand.
Well, that is always. I mean, what of course all these brands will like you to know, but we have now found any correlation that VeriSign or Norton or Komodo is consistent all amongst the clients. So I'm sorry to say, I mean, if you're a badge vendor, I'm sorry, but it depends on the audience. Mm-hmm. So I can't say, and you can't make a statement, and that's the funny thing about conversion rate optimization. We can send out best practices to you all, but it doesn't say those best practices actually fit your audience. Well, that's why we have a testing tool, of course, but for one person, VeriSign, Norton, the other Komodo, and for another, just a Photoshop version of an SSL thing could work awesome. So it is kind of strange, but I have not seen a correlation in any of our clients that I can point to one particular badge and saying, that's awesome.
Right.
So it is worth testing different ones because you see there is a 17% lift versus badge versus no badge. But you see they can still squeeze out a 12-13% lift in those tests if you change brands. So that's worth testing. And the brands that offer non-yearly subscriptions just to prove to you that they're worth the money, I think those badges, you should test. And I know it's an implication on the SSL part of your site, but for now you can only start with the badge and then later on actually install the SSL for it, right? So it's about proving a hypothesis for 4 or 5 weeks and then actually getting that particular SSL certificate and a badge with it.
That's great. Let's take a look at some examples of e-commerce and specific pages that you could be testing.
Okay. Well, looking at the example of e-commerce, I think there's a lot of things people can do there. And of course, the fun part about e-commerce is you see the benefit directly versus a lead, which can take a little longer for their qualification. Looking at the checkout page. The checkout page has to be simple. You don't have to have a lot of menus. You don't need to convince them anymore. There's no offers there. It's just the only pure focus going from the cart to the checkout and then being clear, fill out your data and pay.
Right.
So the areas that we need to focus there is eventual doubts. Who are these guys that I'm giving my credit card to? So a little bit of background history, maybe at the footer, the contact details, where you're located. Make those things easy to find. Make sure there is some guarantee, some BVP logos there, Better Business Bureaus, things there. The security has to be in order there. Your bar has to be green. So do check that because some people, every once in a while, install an additional image somewhere there and they break that SSL because the image is loading from a non-secure location. So do check after this interview, just go in through your card and check out and see if that is still a green bar in there. So your card has to be clean, and it has to be showing confidence that everything we do here, including giving my credit cards to these guys, is actually good. So the guarantees, the money back guarantees, the return policies all have to be there in the footer. And of course, a little logo helps on the secure part. Going one step back in the card, we found product images usually working there. So I make sure the card has the small product images there. Little things like auto update these things. If people want to add 2 or 3 items of there, don't have an update button there. Just make it do that, update the price. All these estimations of shipping, we should have passed those already. Like you have to be clear on the shipping. You have to be clear if you have it in stock. You have to be clear on the delivery time. And in that area, I think it's important that you offer a clear understanding of how people could pay. So how can people pay with credit card, PayPal? So those questions are usually arising around the card area. Again, as clean as possible. There's no need for bazillion menus. There's actually no need for your top menu or left menu in the card. You just continue shopping. You go back to a category where you came from or move forward. So little options, just make them go forward or backward. That's all we need right now.
Yeah, that's definitely some great tips for e-commerce. Keeping it simple sometimes could be the toughest part because you get people who want to throw in all those trust symbols and too many fields, too many pages. So keeping it simple and getting them to check out quickly is definitely some great advice.
Mm-hmm.
Let's wrap up by telling people how they can find out about Convert.com and learn more about you.
Okay. Well, it's fairly easy. It's convert.com. So go to the site. On the site, you can actually try the tool without registration. So type in your URL. You can see how Convert works already at that moment. And we offer, of course, everybody a 15-day trial of every package with no guarantee of no credit card up front. So you can play around with Convert, and if you want to reach out to me, you can use the Twitter handler @Convert. You can reach us on Facebook, Convert, or you can write me a personal email if you have a specific question about your site. I'm also happy to help. Then write Dennis@Convert.com. So it's DENNIS @Convert.com. So send me an email.
Awesome. A really great interview, and I appreciate your time. And definitely check out their software.
Thank you very much for your time as well. Bye-bye.